Google is the biggest name in internet search, and given its impact on other companies, arguably the most influential in the world. Its search results have a huge influence over how and where many of us spend our cash and where so many of us make decisions. Starting with an internet search. Now a US judge has ruled Google acted illegally to crush its competition and maintain a monopoly on online search and related advertising. Google accounts for almost 90% of all search queries in the United States, and the US government, which brought the case, accused it of using anti-competitive tactics to maintain its monopoly. It makes a lot of money from that. Google advertising was 76% of the company's income in the 3 months to the end of June worldwide. That was more than $64 billion. One issue at the heart of this case is the approximately $20 billion Google's parent company Alphabet paid Apple to be the default search engine on iPhone, sending users to Google. There's also a payment for Google to be the default search engine on Samsung phones, and Alphabet says the court ruling, well, it recognizes it has the best search engine but concludes that we shouldn't be allowed to make it easily available, and says it plans to appeal this decision. Lee Hetner, senior legal counsel at the American Economic Liberties Project, that's a nonprofit, profit and nonpartisan group which campaigns against concentrated economic power, joins me now from San Francisco. Lee, what is wrong with Google making payments to the likes of Apple and Samsung? Yeah, thank you for having me. You know, this is a truly historic decision that we're seeing coming out of the District of Columbia court yesterday. Those payments that you refer to, Google has exerted its power to really lock up every distribution channel on the internet for its search engine, to the extent that Google has become synonymous with internet search. So you refer to the $26 billion they pay to Apple, but they pay similar amounts to Samsung, Motorola, LG, just about every browser. Google has really paid for its influence and paid for its market position instead of innovating to meet consumers where their preference is. And when innovation is driven by Google's bottom line and not consumer preference, that's a real problem for markets and innovation. But if you look at, for example, in Europe, where you have landing pages and you're given the option of which search engine you would prefer to use, a lot of people often pick Google. Yeah, and of course, and that might be attributable to Google's really high brand recognition, and that's something that came up in the case as well. But there are a lot of other search engines out there that are trying to innovate. There were search engines that tried to enter the market in the past 10 years that had really innovative approaches to delivering information to people that were just not able to enter the market at all. All of the entry points to reach consumers with a new and innovative product were closed off because Google had sealed those barriers to entry. So that's really what the problem is. Sorry for interrupting you there. Look, one of the things that is notable here is that Google may have been called a monopolist, but we haven't got any penalties at this point. That's going to be a separate hearing. What do you think might happen? Well, the court has broad discretion to impose really strong remedies and fundamentally needs to restore competition to this market, and that means inviting new players into the market, new innovation into the market. We think this is a really robust decision and really applaud Jonathan Kainer for his work to bring innovation back. And so the court has a lot of tools at its disposal. It could sever certain business lines from Google. It will certainly seek to put an end to those exclusive agreements like the $26 billion contract with Apple. That is probably the most significant contract that determines how information flows across our society. So that's what we expect to see, presumably a hit to the bottom line for the likes of Google, but also Apple. Another quick question before you go. I wanted to ask you about the search engine. You get these contracts that brings the scale that in turn then sort of helps build the text advertising business. Presumably as we look to AI, that also would be the next leg of this. Certainly artificial intelligence holds a lot of promise to disrupt or innovate in this world. You know, one of the things that we said along the course of this trial is that the current dominant players, whether that's Google or Apple or Meta, should not be the players controlling the next era of AI innovation, that we should allow for a broad array of groups to come in and really deliver innovation that serves consumers, not just the bottom lines of these very large monopoly corporations. So AI may hold great promise, and I think we're certainly unlocking the key to greater innovation there. Lee Harper, thank you so much for joining us at this very early time for you in San Francisco. Thank you, Mai.